Niger Innis is a former Herman Cain advisor and frequent Hannity guest. He's currently running to represent Nevada's 4th Congressional District, which just happens to be the home of Cliven Bundy's ranch. So he showed up to an event for Cliven Bundy where he said this.
This is your night. This is Cliven's night. I don't want to grandstand here. Let me just say very quickly. I met this man because several residents of Bunkerville reached out to me and said we had a dangerous situation up there, a potential wake-up up there. You need to go up there and investigate, because the politicians that are supposed to be representing that district in that region, from Senate on down to the Assembly, were not doing the job. I didn't even know who Cliven Bundy was. This is not the reason you're here, but obviously this is the game that the media is going to play with us to distract from the real issue, which is that the federal government has too much control over Nevada's land. They will try to distract with the firestorm that Cliven started by using the R word, the racism word. I can only tell you my experience with the Bundys, having eaten with them and broken bread with them. And I don't consider Cliven or his wonderful family racist at all. Period. End of story.
Sell out. Excuse me. Got a little something in my throat. Come on, man. He's not racist at all. He's not racist. Quote, I want to tell you one more thing I know about the Negro. In public housing, there is always at least half a dozen people sitting on the porch. They didn't have nothing to do. They didn't have nothing for their kids to do. They didn't have nothing for their young girls to do. And because they were basically on government subsidies, so now what do? They abort their young children. They put their young men in jail because they never learned how to pick cotton. And I've often wondered, are they better off as slaves picking cotton? Yeah, sounds positively enlightened to me. I mean, wow, you close your eyes, it sounds like a philosopher, doesn't it? Or a scientist. I mean, what a high-minded person we're talking about here. What a dumb fuck, you know? To take the most anecdotal thing ever, the most anecdotal experience, and extrapolate based on all black people because he saw 6 black people, you know? And how I hardly ever use the O word, the offensive, that's offensive word. But look, man, that's as offensive as it gets. And it's offensive because it's so wrong and because it's so ridiculous and egregious. The idea that you would be comfortable, you're wondering, hey, maybe blacks are better off as slaves. Do you have any idea what black people went through during slavery? I don't, because I'm not black. I can read about it, but my response, could never touch at the core of what it really felt like to go through something like that. Where, you got whipped if you spoke out of turn. You lived in a life full of fear, having no freedom. You can't go wherever you want, when you want to go somewhere. Your wife would get raped. Your families would get broken apart. Just lives of quiet desperation, being treated as property. But you're just casually, well, I saw some black people sitting down one time, so maybe they should be picking cottons as fucking slaves. What a silly person you are, man. And his argument, I love his argument, well, look, they might be inferior, so maybe they'd be better off like that. Really? You seem quite inferior because you're unable to reason. You're unable to use a logic. Apparently, you're unable to draw, even semi-intellectual conclusions. And also the idea that he's mad at black people, oh, moochers, parasites. Motherfucker, you didn't pay millions of dollars in fees. That's the whole point of why you're in the spotlight. You're the moocher. Every other rancher's out there paying their fees, but you're not. But here we have somebody, let's be honest, man. I expect the stupidity out of white people. I do. White, old, conservative Republicans in Nevada, sure, I expect it. Wearing their cowboy hats with their flannel shirts, even though it's 110 degrees outside, but they got to wear a long-sleeve shirt because they're in Nevada and they're old school, man. I expect them to be idiots and to say, Cliven's not racist, man. He tells it like it is, man. But to see a black man do that, ugh. Ugh.